Good morning, good evening, good night, everybody, and welcome to the COTED Catalyst. And I am your loud and OA host, Godric Elrod B. Murphy, from the College of Teacher Education. And here with me is to share her grace and beauty and knowledge, Miss J.Ann Cobar-Valdia. Hello, Miss J.Ann.
Hello, Dawn. It's nice to see you again.
It is really nice to see you again as well. And welcome to the Cotton Catalyst Show. Here in our segment, we are just here to talk and get to know our perspectives in life towards different types of topics, morely on mental health and digital worlds. Now, let me ask you, are you really ready for the challenge?
Never been read.
Never been ready. All right. I prepared a series of questions designed to move from broader perspective to your philosophy. The goal is to understand not just what you think, but why you think it. The UPHSL student, as a UPHS student, we are always reminded of the rules and regulations towards the school etiquette. But let me ask you, as a perpetualite, does Miss J.N. have rules towards herself?
Of course, considering that we are living in a hyper-connected world, I noticed that my phone is always within my reach. Not just during vacation, where I am away from my responsibilities in academics, but also during school days, and that's my struggle even before. That's why one important rule I've set for myself is to limit my screen time. That helped me a lot. Trust me, it you really don't like to doom scroll your whole life. You get to set boundaries, or this you get to change, because you know doom scrolling really has a negative effect in our focus, and also takes a toll on our mental health. But I've been there, and the dopamine hit that you get on social media platforms while scrolling, it's really hard
Addictive.
to resist. Yeah, it's very addicting. That is why I have read numerous studies that have shown linkage between overexposure to social media
Yeah.
linked to our decreasing attention span, and
Oh.
even impact our mental regulation, emotional regulation rather. That is why I have come to set a rule for myself, that is to limit my phone use and my screen time. Because I am protecting actually a core value of mine, and that's intentionality. I've been practicing also digital detox
Mhm.
once in a while, or even really trying to adopt it or to embrace it fully,
Yes.
because I want to live intentionally, to be present, to be away from the online world, because it really has a big difference to be away from your phone for hours, not just for hours, but also for days.
That is
It will really be beneficial, not just for yourself, but towards other people, because you get to communicate with them.
Yeah, socializing is very
Yeah,
important as
and
well.
because we can't live without socializing with other people. It is a vital part of our life. That is why by setting a rule for myself, I'm just not limiting or removing distraction. I'm also living intentionally, and by that I'm gonna be more of like be in the present, to live, to think deeply, because I've noticed that I was really into doom scrolling, especially during summer. I can scroll from morning, and
Mhm.
I don't even notice time passes until I notice in the outside, it's already dark.
I mean, it is really understandable because if you imagine it, you don't really do anything in the summer.
Yeah, and you really feel the guilt after
That is true. That
after
is true.
scrolling for the whole day, because you would feel you're not being productive enough, and then you go back to doom scrolling, and then you get motivated because of the dopamine you get from all the content.
It's like a cycle.
Yeah, it's a cycle, and it's really hard to break. That is why it's really important to step away from online world once in a while, because being away, it's it's not, you have to get away from the fear of missing out.
Mhm.
You really need to love being away from the digital world.
Well, yeah, that is true. Like that is a really good point. Like giving our viewers as well the perspective of social detoxing, where
Yeah.
you have to really separate yourself to your social medias through your phone actually, for you to actually to you know have that freedom to live the present life as well. And now going back to our podcast, this is my one of my last questions to you, Ms. Jan. Many people create a perfect versions of themselves online. When you look at the trends, what beliefs or value do you think it fundamentally stems from? Like, how do you show your personal business? How you go lang. Proceed na tayo. Go. 3, 2, 1, go. And now, going back to our podcast, many curates on a perfect version of themselves in media, and sometimes there are a lot of people who, suffers from depression and a lot of stuff, experience as well, from battling their anxieties because they wouldn't fit on the spectrum of the media itself, the media that the media gives to the people. I'd like to ask, what is your advice to your viewers, to our viewers as well, on how they should attack it?
You see, given our digital age, it's just scroll away from comparing your progress towards other people.
Yes.
Especially when you see someone's achievement
Yeah.
posted online,
Yeah.
you get the feeling of, oh, I'm stuck. And then they get to experience those success, you get to experience those achievements, and then boom, you just lost the hope that you feel like it's too late for me, and that causes depression. That will eventually lead to burnout. We are actually, what I've realized is that we as people, we are really obsessed of proving ourselves to the society
That is true.
that we need to be like this, we need to be this, like, we need to have this profession in
There's
order
a standard.
in order for us to fit in
Mhm.
this society. That is what we need to stop thinking about, because as you see, when we tend to compare our progress, we actually delay our progress. We actually delay how we achieve those goals we have in life. Because
It's like it's a matter of like, how can I prove myself to people
Yes.
online? It's like that, and it's kind of not ideal as well, because that is true that it really curates like their perfect version of themselves, romanticizing their whole life on media, but not showing the bad parts of it.
yeah, because what most people don't realize is that those content creators that tend to post how their life is so perfect, you don't even
romantic.
see those things happening
Behind the camera.
behind the camera. And that's what makes other people to really have the urge to prove themselves right away. They tend to forget that when we have goals, we should be on a process.
Yes.
We can skip those process. We need to undergo those for us to achieve those certain goals we've set. And upon scrolling, you get to compare your progress towards other people.
Yes.
Like me, I'm supposed to graduate already, but then I've been delayed. And then I see posts from my classmates that they've already graduated. But instead, it all boils down to your perspective on how you handle those.
Types of media.
Yeah, and how you handle upon seeing those images. You just have to have a shift of mindset where you get to see the light with a situation where you have to eventually realize that you're not behind, you're just on the right path. Your own timeline. You don't get to compare that, because overconsumption of media, comparing yourselves over and over will just lead you to burnout and will really not be beneficial.
That is true. And talking about like the process, I think everyone would agree upon this because everyone has their own progression. You don't
Yeah.
have to force yourself to this specific standard where you have to be graduated in this type of age. You have to have a wife in this type of age. You don't really have to do all of those things that people put upon you because you have your own progression. You have your own process. You have your own timeline where you provide your own how you live your life. That's how you live your life. And for me, it is really going back on what you said earlier on our interview. It's morely on people creating this perfect and saturated life where it really pushes so many boundaries down. Like for example, there are these types of content creators that as you said earlier, that romanticizes themselves too much on media. And can you imagine that children also watches those things as well? Like for example, the sexualization of media. Sometimes there are a lot of couples on media, on mostly on social media. People post themselves romanticizing how love works, and that is perfectly okay. Although, as well as you said earlier, when parents doesn't really modify or what's the word for it, where the parents look at the media that the children is looking at. It's like on observing of the child's um, for you page. I think everyone gets the point, but if they don't really look at that, they often seek those children often seeks that maybe this is gonna be my life.
Yeah.
And right now, because there's a lot of, for me, this is just for me, and I think this is just purely my observation, and I do hope, I do not generalize anyone. Although I do believe that sometimes children being exposed to a lot of things could lead to greater good. Although sometimes as we progress, there are a lot of contents, as you said earlier, there are a lot of contents where people show stuff that children aren't supposed to see. They adapt usually. They usually adapt on how adults act
Yeah,
as
how
well.
adults behave.
And sometimes those behaviors on an adult are just specifically for adults. Although because of media, because of the accessibility of media, everyone can see what the adults are doing. So as this was tackled in our child development, where children often imitates and adapts
Yeah, of
to the
course.
lifestyle of the adults as well. So it has that unspoken wall. It really breaks that unspoken wall where everyone's doing the same thing.
Yeah, and you know what I can really conclude with our topic today is that we really can fully eradicate
That is true. It is very wide.
technology. But what's the best thing, what's the best measure is that we get to use technology as a tool, but we don't allow it to be a trap for us.
That is true.
Because once we overexpose ourselves, that is where we draw a line between living a fulfilling life and living a life with mental struggles, because we often overlook our mental and emotional health just for the sake of fitting in
And yes.
the society of, it's like, example, you need to have your own phone at a certain age. You need to mingle, you need to relate towards other people your age.
Just because of fear of missing out.
Yeah, and what I can really advise is that you should own your life. You need to live your life authentically, by your own means and by your own rules. Because living it with so much societal influence, it will not be a huge help as it will just drain you out.
I mean, if you really could use, this is our advice as teachers, as future educators. Our advice is morely on, we do hope that you can sanitize yourself on how you handle your media. Because for me, that is true on what you said of being feared of missing out. Because for me, it's morely fear of being included. For me.
Yeah, really missing out.
Because there's a lot of things where, it's not really for us to get yet. And we really want to push that agenda where everyone is not linear, but morally safe on how they consume media. Because the point of all of this is to spread awareness on how media affects our mental health, how media affects the children of our future, how everything goes through media. And it really is a hit or miss sometimes, because we cannot grasp the whole topic of media itself and how it really affects the mental health of a person. Because at first, for your information, we are not specialists yet, and we do not have license yet. All of these are just our opinions, perspectives.
From personal experience.
Yeah, from personal experience as well, because we are still students. And I do hope you guys have any takeaways from our conversation, because it really is a good topic to talk about. And I would actually like to thank Miss Jayan as well for being here as well with me.
Thank you, Don, and learned some insights from you as well.
That is true, and thank you so much as well, because you have really opened a lot of stuff where about parents and stuff, and how they should handle the media towards your children, because it is really a bit absurd to just find an excuse to get rid of your children.
Yeah.
And it's really not really the purpose of why you did that. But I would also like to conclude our podcast. I hope you guys had the takeaways from our perspectives, since I would like to repeat that we are not a specialist and we are not professionals yet. Yet these are just our perspectives and our thoughts, and we do hope that you will do your best to provide the proper needs to be safe. Alright? Thank you so much, and thank you, Miss Jayan, for being here as well. Alright? So it's time to say goodbye. Goodbye! I hope you guys had fun.